spend about 10 to 15 hours altogether with groundwork before we put the saddle on the first time. So it's not that you're never firm, it's just not forceful. It's the philosophy that it has to become the horse's idea for the horse to actually move his feet and do it. Heads up. Hey, hey! She really bucked a lot harder than today, much harder. Really scared her, and if you notice today, when she bucked, I could get her attention. Okay, what am I gonna do now that she had that traumatic event? What do we do with you guys when you have an emotional event? Process? Yeah, so the horse is got to process all that, right? So I'm just gonna give her a minute to just kind of soak and think about things instead of just keep pushing, right? So instead of just adding on and thinking that just keep adding pressure and teach them to deal with that much pressure, I'm going to try and teach her to deal with a little bit of pressure, think it through, come up with a solution, and then I'm going to add on to that. So she's pretty okay at a walk, but is it realistic to think that she's just going to walk the rest of her life? So we've got to add, there's a good purpose in why we got to teach her to trot with the saddle on. We spend a lot of time teaching kids that they have two different sides to them too. One side is the thinking side, the logical side. The other side is the emotional, reactive side. And when they get really emotional, that's where they get angry. That's where they make dumb choices. So the first time she bucked, there was no way anyone could have got her attention. She was just seeing red and super afraid, thought that she was going to die. Today it was more, I don't like this on my back, but as soon as I would try and get her attention, she would think about it and think her way through it. And that's a principle that we try to teach every day. I want this gallop to be her idea, not mine. So I'm going to keep her right there and try and really get her to choose to gallop. Hey, hey. To be able to think through your problems, think through the events, instead of just be emotionally driven by your behavior. What parents really get from it is that you have to be patient, and it has to be a communication that's happening. So if the horse gets really defensive, they go to their fight or flight side of their brain and they're not listening. When an adolescent gets defensive, they're not listening. So when parents watch this, they get that piece that you have to be able to tell when to drive your agenda and when to validate. I'm not going to be a perfectionist right now, I'm just asking for some try. So I get the try, as soon as I get it, reward it, okay? So we have to change the horse's perception. And when I change the horse's perception, that changes the horse's behavior. And so the same thing has to happen with adolescents, is they have to change their perception of authority in order to change their behavior when authority tries to lead them. So we try and teach them to balance that out. We don't want them just to think and not feel, but we don't want them to just feel and not think. So we spend a lot of time teaching that middle path is really important.